Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal. We are back again with Cozy for another podcast. A lot to discuss today, including Kimmich. Kimmich only wants to join 5 teams and Arsenal is one of them. We'll be covering that. The latest on Thomas Partey could be on his way to Saudi Arabia. We'll be talking about another midfielder being linked to from Real Sociedad and also our left back situation. Arteta needs a player on that side, or he actually wants a player on that side. We'll be covering that. But first, Cozy, how are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm doing well. Welcome back. I mean, there was a little blip where you disappeared from us, but welcome back to the podcast, guys. Thank you so much for the love. Thank you so much for subscribing and loving the content. Big up to you, everyone in the comments.
Absolutely. So let's get started straight away with the Kimich story. So we've never discussed Kimich with you. He's a player we've been linked to the last couple of weeks, I'd say, and let's start with that. So here's the latest on Joshua Kimmich from Plettigol, that's Plettenberg from Sky Germany. A separation between Kimmich and Bayern is getting closer now or next year at the latest. Kimmich would be ready to go into this final year of his contract. He only wants to join Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Real Madrid, or Barcelona. And then there's also this that says only 5 clubs are in consideration for Joshua Kimmich, who is expected to leave Bayern Munich this summer or when his contract expires in 2025. Now, Cozy, the players that we've been linked to so far, the likes of Cesc and those players, and Guirassy as well. The competition has been Dortmund, Chelsea, Man United. For Kimmich, the competition is definitely high. Real Madrid, Man City, especially on the list. Those are teams you can definitely see Kimmich saying, yeah, I don't want to join us. I want to go to Man City instead and work with Guardiola. I want to go to Real Madrid instead. And a lot of Bayern Munich players go to Real Madrid. Alphonso Davies could end up there. Cruz, Alaba, like a lot of them move on to there. So what do you think of Kimmich first? Is Kimmich a player that you're like, I mean, if this would be the only player we sign in a transfer window, I'd be very happy.
He wins us the league. As simple as that. He wins us the league. Now, for me, Joshua Kimmich is the product of Thomas Partey's ability on the ball and braveness on the ball, combined with Jorginho's availability and durability. It is funny that Jorginho is the one that we all think about, and you're like, Jorginho is the one that is getting really older, and we don't see him as physical and strong, so you expect him to pick up many injuries. He's actually as more durable than Thomas Partey. But when you think about Thomas Partey, and when you think about what he offers to this Arsenal side, Arsenal, you would think, would really struggle to find a player who replaces him. I've looked at João Neves today for Portugal. Not a bad player, but I think he's so far away from what Thomas Partey is. Looked at João Palhinha as well. I like him, but I think he's also very far away. And even players like Ruben Neves, they're still very far away from what a player like Thomas Partey does. So for me, Joshua Kimmich wins Arsenal the league. When you look at that long list of attributes that he brings to this Arsenal side, there is no way you don't trade him. There is no way anyone doesn't trade Joshua Kimmich. Joshua Kimmich is one player that makes every team that he goes to better in terms of leadership, in terms of pedigree, in terms of experience, the winning mentality, and naturally, people always forget to talk about this. He is a naturally talented footballer. He's played at right back. He's versatile. He's played at central midfield, where he found a career with Pep Guardiola, and he's played at CM and DM. So for me, Joshua Kimmich wins Arsenal the Premier League. We can all agree that regardless of where England will finish, whether they win the Euros or not, Declan Rice at central midfield is a calamity. It's a disaster. Do not play him at DM. Play him in the number 8 in the CM. He will do a lot of good things there. He will do a lot of good work there. So for me, at the moment, Joshua Kimmich is one of the players I would rate highly in terms of DMs on the market. Like I would rate him at number 1, number 2, and anyone that comes in the list would come at like number 4, number 5. Because for me, I don't see where you get a player for Joshua Kimmich's build. We'll talk about how much he will cost, but think about a player that has played for Bayern and he's won almost 6-7 titles, Bundesliga titles in a row. He has a Champions League as well. He's captained Bayern before. He's captained German before. On some occasions, he's 29. That pedigree is there. Champions League. The level of Joshua Kimmich is impeccable. Like, this is a signing that really shouldn't be happening on the market. Like Bayern, it reminds me of when Bayern let go of Bastian Schweinsteiger to Man United. of when Bayern let go of Cruz to Real Madrid. It resonates like that, right? And of course, Bayern have got that tendency. They let go of an Alaba somewhere, quality player will go to Real Madrid. But look at where these players are going. So the fact that Arsenal's name is being mentioned in the same sentence as Real Madrid, the fact that you have players like Joshua Kimmich at that level, thinking about Madrid, Man City, and Arsenal are back in the conversation. This was way back in the day when talents thought about, oh, I could go to Barcelona, but I would love to play for Arsenal. They play well, and the brand of football then is what attracted players to Arsenal. We're talking about Madrid and Man City. These are UEFA Champions League holders in the last 5 years. Yeah. Arsenal do not have even 2 seasons in the UEFA Champions League in the last 5 years. But what we have is a project that everyone looks at and they're like, I want to be part of it. It was reported by Fabrizio a little bit earlier on in the window that so many big names want to be part of this Arsenal project, but Arsenal are not going to change their strategy. They're going to still go with players that they have looked at for quite some time, scouted for quite some time, and they appreciate. So for me at the moment, Joshua Kimmich, thank you so much for appreciating Arsenal. We appreciate you too. If I'm losing Partey and I'm bringing in Kimmich, that is the perfect replacement. For me, he's the perfect replacement. Even better, he is younger. He's a winner. He's a leader. I think he would bring a massive difference alongside a player like Declan Rice. He would make Declan Rice better. He would make Martin Odegaard better.
Let me just throw something in about Declan Rice that you said. We're going to talk about it some different day. I've had a lot of people saying Declan Rice has been a disaster. His stats in the last 3 games have been incredible. 100% tackle rate, 100% everything. But I do get what you mean in terms of eye test. Pretty much the whole England has not been great. But that's another topic for a different day. Now, Kimich, again, as you said, this is a player that we'd never ever get linked to 3 years ago. And of course, Kimich is the player that scored the winning goal against us in the Champions League. Yeah. He's the one that knocked us out, unfortunately. And we've seen him playing for Bayern since he's almost like a kid, and he's been absolutely incredible, versatile. Germany, Bayern, he takes the set pieces, the corners, the free kicks. Sometimes you see him playing at right back, sometimes he's played in midfield, and he plays it very, very well, that role. Now, he only has 1 year remaining on his contract. If they said, okay, fine, we are going to sell him right now, would you be ready to get into a bidding or with those teams, or would you be like, nah, we don't want to, take too much time on these ones, and the teams you're competing with as well, maybe they have an edge on us?
I think the reason why you avoid a bidding war is to not to overpay for overrated talent. So right now, if we went into a bidding war with Osimhen and Arsenal won that bidding war with 150 million, I would be disappointed. I would be disgusted. But with Joshua Kimmich, these are talents, rare talents that you must be able to compete for. These are players you must be able to compete for. When Kimmich is available on the market, of course, everyone is going to want him. Of course, Man City will want him. Of course, Madrid will want him. Of course, Barcelona will want him. Of course, Arsenal must want him. So that talent available on the market, that is something you rarely hear. Like ever since he signed for Bayern, like how many years? 8 years ago, 9 years ago. This is the one time he's been available. One
that was
time.
From Leipzig.
Exactly. Like he's been available once in a decade. And that's what we're talking about. These are talents that do not just appear, every single day. So yes, I'll be open for Arsenal to open, a bidding war, and I would be looking to win that bidding war, because it's not embarrassing to overpay for Kimmich. Like no one would ever say, oh my God, they overpaid for a UEFA Champions League winner. They overpaid for one of the best talents that Germany has produced at right back and midfield. No one can never say that. So if you win it against Real Madrid and Man City, more respect than disrespect.
Now, I'm going to ask you about money as well. How much would you be willing to pay for him? Because something that everyone will have to consider, and obviously Arsenal will consider, is about to turn 30. So I think in terms of resale value, I mean, after he plays for you probably lose him on a free and he goes somewhere to retire, probably, if he gets to 33, 34. So you're not really going to get any money for him. So how much would you be willing to spend on him, and how much in terms of wages would you be looking to put him on?
Now, he's among the top earners at Bayern. He's earning around more than 200,000 a week. I'll be looking to give him around 270, 280,000 per week, because for me, I think he straight away walks into the most important category in the side. He comes in there, and you know he's that Van Persie signing that Ferguson brought in. Straight away walks into that Manchester United dressing room. I'm a goal scorer, and I'm that thing that you do not have. So you either respect me or you're getting nothing from me. So that is Kimmich. He walks in, and you don't expect Albert Samuel Lokonga to look at Kimmich and is like, I think I can bully this guy. I think I can compete with this guy. So for me, around 270 to 280,000. Now, in terms of the price, there will be a bidding war. But what you've talked about is very, very crucial. Resale value. And I think clubs like Madrid are now rechanging and refocusing their strategies, the same as clubs like Barca. They're looking to sign younger players rather than older players. So at the moment, 2025, around there, that is the real value. But if there is a bidding war, I wouldn't really mind Kimmich at 30 million. I wouldn't really mind Kimmich at 35 million, because for me, I mean, we are the only club that really don't have such a player. Like, however much we can spin the story, Man City having Kevin De Bruyne and Rodri, they're still the best midfield in Europe. And then when you look at Madrid, despite the fact that their midfield is young, they still have Cruz there, and they still have Modric and Tchouameni there. So it's Arsenal that desperately need Joshua Kimmich. So for me, I'll be willing to spend 20 to 25. If there is a bidding war, 30 to 35. I would stretch it to that level. And again, Kimmich is not a signing you bring in to sell in the future. There are signings you bring in to sell in the future. Gabriel Martinelli, 5 million from Ituano. Right now, if you want to make profit, please, suit yourself. 50 million in terms of profit. Emil Smith Rowe, clean profit, pure profit. Nketiah, 50 million, 30 million, pure profit. But Kimmich is the kind of signing you bring in. He reminds me of the Thomas Partey signing. Arsenal never signed Thomas Partey or Jorginho to sell them in the future, and never. When you sign Partey at 28 and you're rebuilding, you're looking to rebuild this new project around him. And it was very clear that from day one, the Arsenal were going to sign younger players and place them around this very experienced magnet and metronome in midfield in Thomas Partey. He's done his job, and we cannot say that he's not done it, because right now Arsenal are among the best teams in Europe. So how about we bring another more reliable metronome in midfield? So Kimmich, you sign Kimmich for signature titles. You don't sign Kimmich for resale value. You sign him for, we have won this and this. We bring him to win this, to win us this and this and this and this. I think Pep is one manager that actually did that with players like Kovacic. I think Kovacic was a very, very strategic signing. No one thought they were going to go for Kovacic. We all thought Paqueta, Guimaraes. He went and signed Kovacic. And what Kovacic does is, you're not going to sign him for 40 million later on. No, not really. But what he does is, he just comes in with all his experience, with all his, whatever he's done, and fits in there. That's Kimmich.
Now, a quick one on him, because you mentioned the likes of Kroos. Kroos is obviously now retired. Do you think it would be a perfect replacement for him? Okay, just a quick one. Apart from Arsenal there, which team do you think you'd fit perfectly right now in terms of less competition, and it goes straight into the team?
Madrid, I think he fits in there. Liverpool, 100%.
Yeah, Liverpool definitely plays, yeah.
Barcelona, 120% fits in there.
So it's only Man
City
that.
Apart from Arsenal. It's only City. It's only City. And of course, we have to remember that the man that turned him into a midfielder is at City.
Yeah, so that's why I think they have that advantage. Now, last on him, because you said he definitely wins us the league when he comes in.
Absolutely.
Do you think it's as straightforward as that, or do you think he might come to the Premier League and then he's up against Onana or Sushek and he can get bullied a bit in midfield, and close to 30, and he doesn't actually turn out to being what you thought he was going to be?
They don't get anywhere close to him. His footballing IQ as a player, first and foremost, his footballing IQ as a player is crazy, really crazy. Just go and rewatch that goal he scored against Arsenal. He makes a run that not even center forwards make. He makes a run that he knows that ball is going to be played
right back. Yeah.
from right back. He knows that ball that ball is not going to be easy to cross, and if it's crossed back, we have tall centre backs. So he makes that run that is kind of cutting through the box, and it's his IQ is insane. I even regret my yeah. I regret my reactions to that goal because I was like, no. It's not about Arsenal. It's about how this guy is. It's about how good this guy is.
Like that's exactly what I say. You know, that time we were going to play Bayern Munich and people are like, this should be 4-5-0. I was like, I understand they've lost to a lot of teams in the league, but it was like Kimmich, Sane, these Mullers, these are guys who've won the World Cups, the Champions. These Kroos and Mullers were guys who destroyed Brazil by like 7 goals at their place. Kimmich, as you say, the IQ is there, and then you add Alphonso Davies' pace, Neuer's experience, and best goalkeeper for a lot of years. I was like, this is not an easy team, but yeah, I totally understand. He's absolutely incredible. So this is a player we definitely get. Now, is he going to be a replacement, or is he going to be a player that comes to work with this player, Thomas Partey? Now, the latest on Thomas Partey is this. According to reports from Court Offside, Thomas Partey has been approached by the public, the PIF, Public Investment Fund. According to sources close to Court Offside, the group has indicated its eagerness to negotiate personal terms for potential transfer this summer, with Partey open to proposals. Now, again, we've been linked to players like Kimich, we've been linked to players like Joao Neves, we've been linked to players like Zubimendi and a lot more players. So it does kind of look like he's going to leave, but we were told that Partey wants to stay, and we were told that Arsenal are not really keen on selling him. How do you feel right now? Do you feel like he's definitely going to leave because of everything, every player we're being into, and him personally, looking like he's going to leave, and we need that money?
Well, around 4 days ago, the Athletic confirmed that Arsenal are looking to sign a number 6 at priority, not number 8, not centre forward, not any other player in any other position. Priority for the window right now is to sign a number 6 DM, and they lied to us that there are no number 8s on the market. That is why Arsenal are going to number 6. You bloody liars! The reason as to why Arsenal are going for a number 6 is because Fabrizio had already told us in May that Arsenal will sign a midfielder now that Thomas Partey is set to leave the club this summer. So they know, guys, they know. And of course, we just received information in the last 48 hours that Arsenal just didn't sign players, or have not signed players in June, because they prefer to wait for the PSR deadline to end, and then we start on a new clean slate in 2000, in the new financial year, which is 2024-2025. So Thomas Partey's future at Arsenal, for me, was pretty much decided when the Athletic said whoever comes in at Arsenal is going to be determined by Declan Rice's position at 6 or at 8, right? So Rice is the determinant. So it means Partey isn't that significant. You've not given him a new deal. You've given Jorginho a new deal, and of course, Jorginho doesn't have the legs. Everybody can know that Jorginho is not going to play 30 games. So, who comes in midfield? It's clear as day. It's clear as as light of day. So, for me, Arsenal will need that money, and we might get a very good offer from Saudi Arabia. Like, if I asked anyone, how much do you think we get for Thomas Partey? He's literally not played last season, so you would say around 10 to 15 million. That would be okay.
Yeah, I agree. 1 year remaining on his contract as well.
1 year left on his contract. Last season, played around how many games? 5, 6? Can't really remember.
Not enough. All I can know is not enough.
Yeah, not enough. So for me, Arsenal do need the money, Glenn. We will need every single penny. I think the age of clubs just wasting talent and wasting players because they could afford to make losses, that age is gone. And Arsenal, among those clubs who are in the bracket of, we would rather get 5 million, would rather get 10 million, would rather get 15 million rather than let you go on a free. So for me, I think Partey leaves, Kimich comes. Even if it's not Kimich, but I think Partey leaves, Kimich comes. There's nowhere Arsenal having Jorginho, Kimich, and Partey in the same squad. It won't make any sense, because one of those players has got the ability to play 38 games. And if you wanted to rotate him, you would rotate him with a player like Jorginho. So you rotate Kimmich with Jorginho. So it's clear Thomas Partey is Saudi Arabian bound.
Makes sense completely. Now, again, so you're convinced he's definitely going to leave?
Well, when we were talking, I told you that him leaving is at 60% for me. Now I'm going to go to 70%.
Wow, that is very interesting. Now, as we've been told, it's the Saudi Arabian guys who are linked to him. There's a time we had about Italian teams being linked to him, but I don't think that is going to happen. I think now it's just specifically Saudi Arabia. Now, I know, I don't know if fans have changed their mind on this. There's a lot of people who didn't want Partey to move on, especially he played okay at the end of the season. But as I say, there's a lot of, reasons why it's pointing out to him leaving, like the age, like the amount of money he's getting paid per week. We could use that elsewhere. The fact that he's the injuries on top of that, the fact that he only has 1 year remaining on his contract. There's a lot of reasons pointing towards him leaving, and not a lot towards him staying. Now, again, as we've said, we'd prefer him staying, especially if you're not going to get a lot of money for him. If it's like people offer 5 million, 6 million, you might as well keep him for that 1 year. But he's definitely not going to sign a new contract. He's definitely going to either leave this summer or leave next summer on a free. And we've always talked about not letting players leave on a free. But for Partey, it's looking very likely that he's going to go. Do you see any way he could fit in with Kimich in the same team? Would you be absolutely excited with that?
Well, not excited at all. Not excited at all because we have seen Mikel Arteta trying to play him at right back. That was not exciting. That was definitely not nice.
That could be Kimmich this time.
Well, Kimich could play Kimmich playing at right back. That is a tactical trick we could see. Kimmich inverting into midfield alongside him. It could happen, by the way. Just forgot that Kimmich could play at right back. But for me, I would rather see more of what we saw last season. I've already told you, let's be braver. Let's play what has won us, games and just improve on it. So how about bringing Kimmich because he's more reliable? We bring in Declan Rice because he's played there, that position well. Odegaard has played that position well. And then the front three, they stay the same. If you can't upgrade on them, simple as that.
So let us know in the comment section, would you be happy with Kimmich replacing Partey at Arsenal? Partey is slightly older, a couple of years, and Kimmich, in terms of experience and being a winner, is obviously won a lot more than our Arsenal players. Now, Kimmich is not the only midfielder we've been linked to. As we said, we've been linked to a lot of them, and one that we've not talked about with you guys on this podcast is MERINO. He's currently playing with the Spanish national team. He plays with Zubimendi there. He started the last game for Spain. He plays at Real Sociedad with Zubimendi as well. The Zubimendi talk went a bit quiet. I saw a couple of you asking about it. It's gone a bit quiet. I don't think he wants to leave Spain, and it might still happen from nowhere, but I don't think it's going to happen. Now, one of the reasons is because of MERINO. We've been linked to MERINO. Mikel Arteta wants to sign Mikel. He wants to sign another Mikel. MERINO, no matter what, this summer, and has already called the player to convey the big plans he has for him. MERINO is seduced. Man, goes the ones they use in this transfer window are crazy by a potential move, while Real Sociedad feel all roads lead towards a transfer for around 25 million. Now, first of all, because the price is really good. In terms of the midfield, he is really good. Let me show you a stat that will absolutely blow your mind in terms of Mikel MERINO. Now, this was the duels won in the last season, the whole top 7 leagues in Europe. So that is Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, Portugal, Netherlands, France, Italy, all 7 of them. He was number 1 in terms of deals won, 326. He was the only player above 300. And as you can see, the rest of the list, if I remove that from there, Kudus is somehow second. Also the take-ons, I think they count as duels as well, like even the ones who are trying to attack, not only like defending duels, even attacking duels. And Lauritsen, I think that's how you pronounce his name, Bruno Guimaraes, Bernardo, and a couple of others there, like so the likes of Zapata, Palhinha as well in that list. But a lot of people usually talk about, I want Palhinha at this team, I want Palhinha at this team. Like in terms of duels, MERINO is so high, and Arteta loves duels. Do you think that is Arteta's probably looked at that stat and is like, this is the perfect player for me in terms of duels in midfield?
He's a fantastic player, Mikel MERINO. Very, very fantastic player. And I think if you don't have Rodri for Spain, definitely is the player that would be playing in that position. For me, I think he's ahead of Martin Zubimendi in that holding midfield position. Now, that I didn't know about that statistic. It's really crazy. When you think about Real Sociedad, the player we all talk about is Martin Zubimendi. So we talk about Martin Zubimendi as being the metronome, Martin Zubimendi as being the defensive link, Martin Zubimendi as being the versatile box to box. There is a player called Mikel Merino, and he's absolutely fantastic. Actually, he's a player that I love to watch more as compared to his statistical part of the game, because his statistical part of the game would be numbers in terms of passing the ball. He's very good, and his passing accuracy is very good. But he's a more entertaining figure when you watch him, because he's got those kind of Busquets vibes. Just touch and go, touch and go, touch and go, touch and go. He's got a very great awareness of spaces. He's got very good awareness of where players are and where the opponent is. I think there was a show I was watching after La Real played Girona, and they're talking about him understanding the starting position of the opponent always, and that giving him a very great advantage, because he's not a quick player, he's not a very physical player, and he's a very tall player. Like, you can see him, like if you've seen him for Spain or La Real, those who have watched Real Sociedad, he's a tall player. So he doesn't really have that kind of low center of gravity players like Bernardo Silva would have, or players like Cruz would have, or a player like Partey would have, right? He doesn't have that low center of gravity. So what helps him is anticipation and scanning, and is very, very good at that. So literally, he's one player that knows, if I receive the ball right now, this is where it's gonna go. If if we lose the ball, most importantly, it's going to be switched to this side, and he will position himself very well there. Now, of course, he's a player that Arsenal have not been linked with a lot before. We've been linked with his midfield partner in Martin Zubimendi, but when I look at that statistic, it means a lot, really, really a lot, because what that means is you have a player who's going to be playing in a single pivot, and that is why I'm saying, guys, regardless of his numbers, you cannot let Decas play in the single pivot. And also, the biggest reason why I wouldn't like Declan Rice in the single pivot, he's got a lot to offer in that 8. The energy, the busting forward, the breaking through the lines. He's got that energy. He's got that confidence when he's playing alongside.
And another thing I love about him is the winning of the ball, in the final third. So if he wins the ball that side, we are quicker to score a goal.
And he wins it, and he's got the pace to progress it as well. So with Mikel Merino, what you want with him, and why Mikel Arteta would bring him at Arsenal, it's that statistic. It means that as a single pivot, alongside him, you'd have a player like Julian Timber beside him, and then you have a player like maybe Ben White or William Saliba besides him. So he's a player that is happy to drop into in between the centre backs to form a back three in possession, like we've seen Cruz a lot of the time, and Rodri a lot of the time when Man City and Spain are in possession. So that means that regardless of what happens, Arsenal are safe. They have a player who can win the ball back if the ball is turned over in our midfield. There's a player that can literally be the fullback to position, because again, he's not a player that hides away from the ball. I don't want to over criticize this, so I'll use another example. But there's there are players like Scott McTominay. And again, McTominay is an unfair example, but McTominay cannot be an out ball. McTominay cannot be a fullback to position in a team, because literally he hides away from the ball. So you want players like Mikel Merino. When it is tight and it's clogged, he's gonna find space. He's gonna position himself there, and the ball is going to come to him, and he's going to play it in a less loaded or a less crowded zone, and you'll be able to progress. So for me, there is a player there. We've not talked about his experience yet. We've not talked about his pedigree, the fact that he's around 28. Not talked about that. And if we add that to the level, and his footballing education, guys, he is Spanish footballing education. If we add that, you have a good player there.
There's a lot of current Real Sociedad players in the Spanish national team, and on top of the ground duels, in terms of who scored, they have him rated as very strong in terms of aerial duels. So not only will he win it in the ground, he can
Yeah.
win it in the air as
Yeah.
well. And he's very
Tall
good at
player.
tackling on top of that. And he can pass the ball. I mean, he plays for Spain. You know, a lot of Spanish players have a bit of technique, and Portuguese players. So that would be an interesting one. And he would only cost 25 million, as they said, they'll transfer around 25 million euros actually, so less than 20 million pounds. So is this one that you'd be happy to focus on?
Yeah, I would be happy to focus on this one, but again, like I said, for me, my number one in the position is Kimmich. But for 25 million euros, lucky under the radar Mikel Merino would be a player that comes in at Arsenal. No one expects him to do wonders and do magic, and he would do wonders and he would do magic. Like he would be that Steven Botman signing for Newcastle. Came in, but like, okay, Steven Botman, AC Milan wanted him, and then he just drops a masterclass.
It's like you read my mind. You mentioned Newcastle. I was just about to mention Mikel Merino was actually a Newcastle player, and he actually played in the Premier League in 2017-2018. I'm pretty sure most of you watching this do not remember Merino playing for Newcastle in the Premier League. I do not remember a single game, and he played almost 20 games for them, so it's a weird one. He also played for Dortmund, so he's played in Germany before. He played for Osasuna in Spain before. He's a Spanish international, so it's an interesting one as well.
Yeah, so it's a signing that doesn't glitter. I wouldn't say. I don't think you would publish a story, Glenn. Arsenal signed Merino, and like, oh my God, this guy. People, most of your comment section have, who is he? Why haven't we gone with Kimich? Why haven't we gone with Joe Palhinha? But in the end, you would get the value, and his price doesn't really stand into mean what he's worth. Actually, you know, prices these days mean contracts are running down, things like that. Clubs willing to, cash in on him, or players willing to move on, a lot of things like that. So for me, Merino is a deal I would be happy to do as a fullback position if we don't get Joshua Kimmich. Because again, Kimmich, next level, another level. But Mikel Merino is a player I would love to see settle into a midfield, just settle in and, pull the strings, just call the tunes, and we see how it would be.
So that is our midfield situation, guys. Let us know what you make of the Partey news, the Kimmich news, and the Merino news. If Kimmich wasn't available, would you be happy with Merino? And would Merino be a good replacement for Partey, do you think? Let us know in the comments. Now, another position that we're expecting a lot of movement in is the left back the left back position. And this is the latest on that. So according to Ghana blog, Arsenal would like to add a specialist left back, but any such deal would most likely require one of their existing options to depart. Now, the next one I'm going to bring up is quite interesting because we never really talked about this particular one with Kosi, because the other players who are playing in that position, we know Timber is not going to be sold, and Tomiyasu signed a new contract, is not going to be sold. So what happens to them? Now, according to Team News and Tacts, I've always been told that between Tomiyasu, White, and Timber, they are seen as the Saliba cover. Interesting. I've been told the left side is more something else we're going to look into if they can. If a defender comes, it will be a left-sided one. Now, for Tomiyasu, it's not a big surprise. Partey is going to be a backup for White on the right side. But Tomiyasu at centre-back is also very possible. We definitely know that Tomiyasu at centre-back is very possible. Actually, some games, if Ben White and Tomiyasu are both on the pitch, I'd not be surprised if Ben White is the right back and Tomiyasu is a centre-back. Surprisingly, where you'd actually expect maybe Tomiyasu at right back, Ben White at centre-back. We signed Timber as a centre-back. We did sign Timber as a centre-back as well. And they've also talked about Tomiyasu, Timber, and Ben White. So Ben White also as a backup for Saliba. Now that leaves the left side kind of open apart from Zinchenko and Kivia. So it's looking very likely that Zinchenko and Kivia, one of them could move on. So first, let's start with this left back situation. Are you first surprised that we actually focused on this one? Was this a position that you're like, no, we don't really need anyone here, we have enough players here? You're very surprised to hear that we actually serious for a left back?
I can't lie, I never thought about it. And I thought we were okay. I think I was clogged with the number of players there, vis-a-vis the quality. And because if you ask me, which player would you really start at right back and he plays with the left foot? I'll be like, for Arsenal right now, maybe that is it. So with other positions, we have clarity. We have clear instructions and clear profiles of who plays there and what they do. At left back, we have an Alexander Zinchenko that we always, have to defend. Well, he's so good in possession. He adds in the midfield very well. Adds a lot of numbers to the midfield, but defensively, with Jakub Kiwior, you're like, yeah, he plays as a back of in a back three. Defensively is good, but attacking wise, there is something lacking. So I think that's what Mikel Arteta means when he says specialist at left back. And to be honest, none of the players Arsenal have right now is a specialist at left back. Zinchenko was being scouted by Arsene Wenger many years ago as a number 8/number 10. So his footballing education is of a midfielder, and we have seen what he does. Julian Timber is a right back / right-footed centre back. So kind of Saliba, kind of Ben White, kind of Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu predominantly should be playing on the right-hand side. Kiwior is a left-sided, centre back who is being forced into left back. So literally, we don't have that profile. We don't have a player you can call, this is our left back. This is if you're doing a combined 11 with a club like Chelsea and they say Chilwell, Cucurella, you really cannot bring out Kiwior and Tomiyasu. Those are not left back. So I think that's what Mikel Arteta is looking for. Now, am I surprised? Yes, I am. Because Mikel Arteta had shown right from the start, and again, this comes from the fact that he's a very flexible manager and he's a very unpredictable manager, and he wants to add that level of unpredictability to his team just to make sure that he can surprise you here and there, just to make sure that every single season you have something to adapt to as the opponent, because that allows him to gain ground over you. When I look at many of the teams, they don't change that much, right? You'll find the same setup, the same players, 1 or 2 new signings on the bench, and then coming on in the 60 minute. But when you look at Mikel Arteta last season, Rice in the team, Timber in the team, and Kai Havertz in the team. And we're talking about a team, by the way, that had come very close to winning the title against Man City. 3 big changes to that team. And then we saw Leandro Trossard have a big part as well in the last part of the season. So I won't be surprised to see Timber back in the team and someone dropping out, and then we see 2 new signings again, taking up positions in that Arsenal team. I won't be very surprised. So for me, there is a surprise that we're going for a left back because of the many players we have there, but there is no surprise that Mikel Arteta is looking to do something crazy. He's a chemist. He blows things up. He will blow something up.
Absolutely. So we are linked to a few left backs that we've talked about before. So let's see what is going to happen in that position now. Cozy has mentioned that we don't have a specialist left back. Well, we do. We do. His name is Nuno Tavares. So Nuno Tavares, according to reports on him, this is what he's had to say. My priority is to return to Arsenal. After that, only the future will tell. Everyone knows that I have another year left on my contract. There have been a few approaches, but I leave to whoever is in charge of my future. So with Lokonga, we know he definitely is going to move. He's already said, I'm going to move. With Snelson, he's asked to move. With Tavares, we are not sure who's going to sign him. And there's also even Tierney on top of that. So we actually have 2 specialist left backs, but we know they're not going to play. They're not going to stay here. Now, for Nuno Tavares, only 1 year remaining on his contract. I always confuse him with Lokonga in terms of money. Did we buy him for like 10 million?
He was 7 million with around 2 million, 3 million add-ons. Lokonga was 15.
So do you think we can... First of all, would you be thinking, let's give him until January, or do you think that is completely done?
That is a ship that has sailed on. I think with Nuno Tavares, he's not covered himself in enough glory. He was given his chances, absolutely squandered them. Like, I've never seen a player, apart from Alexander Runarsson, I've never seen a player squander his chances for a system, for a manager that plays a system that suits you very well. Because with Tavares, he's got to understand, if you're playing for a manager like Southgate, you'll never play for his football. Like, you are a very disruptive, left back. Sean Dyche, you'll never play his football. Like, what? So he played under a manager in Mikel that appreciated inverted fullbacks and appreciated fullbacks running into the midfield, going to join the attack, adding up to the attack numbers and all that. And he blew his chances, right? He was given, when you look at the loan deal at Olympique Marseille, when a team like Olympique Marseille takes you up from Benfica to Arsenal to Marseille, look at that career path. It means that managers think there is something there. There's a player in there, right? There's a talent in there. I think he's absolutely joked with it. I think he's absolutely squandered it. I think his ship at Arsenal is over. Time at Arsenal is 100% over.
Now, I think it's better in a back five, as you said, in terms of attacking.
Yep.
And Marseille played in a back five, and he was okay, I'd say. But the next loan deal that he had at Nottingham, it didn't really work. Now, if he went to Nottingham and it had worked, then we'd have had maybe to sell him. Because I remember when he bought him in Lokonga, I did say, okay, now that time you're fighting for something different. You're trying to get into the top four and some things like that. And I was like, listen, if it doesn't work, if you move on from that kind of level, these are players you can always sell because at that time they're like 21 and stuff. We could always move them on. But 1 year remaining on his contract, do you think there's a possibility no team could come in for him and we could have to basically throw him away for 5 million and go on a loss?
Now, the best way to handle this is how Arsenal handled Eddie Nketiah and Reece Nelson contracts. You don't see yourself selling him right now for the money you want. So what you do, give him a new deal for 5 years, 3, 4, 5 years. And then you make sure that within those 3, 5 years, he gets a good season and you sell him, right? He becomes marketable. That would be like a very big risk. It could work, but that could be a very big risk. In terms of him having a chance at Arsenal, it's over. In terms of him, unless the season starts and Tomiyasu is injured, Kimmich is injured, Timber is injured, Zinchenko is injured, Gabriel is injured. You have everyone in that team is injured, or they have refused to play for the manager. That is where it comes into play, right? But without without those circumstances, unfortunate circumstances really happening, he doesn't get any fortunate circumstances for him. So for me, what I would do with him is I'll be looking to recoup the money that we got from him, which is going to be very difficult. So in the end, 4 to 5 million.
Now, I always say you get exactly what you pay for. That's why I'm so Martinelli is a crazy one because we bought him for such little money. Now is we could sell him for 100 million. Most of the players that any team signs for 4 million, 5 million, Ranason 1 million. 8 million, I've actually confirmed it. 8 million is little money. I know that time you're dealing with a different kind of market. We're only trying to get into the top 4. But yeah, I don't think it's going to come to us. And the worst thing is that he went to Nottingham and that loan spell didn't really work. They had players like Aina playing on that side. So he didn't really get any game time, unfortunately. So 4 or 5 million, I could see it being that way, unless if we can get the 8 million back, that would be great. He's only 24 years of age. If you can make a profit, it would be absolutely crazy. I don't see anyone coming with 10 million for him. But he was a specialist left back that you're talking about. Now, speaking of money that you're not going to get for players, well, Eddie Nketiah. Arsenal are reported to have placed a 50 million price tag on striker Eddie Nketiah. So first of all, because what do you think of that? Because if Nketiah was coming from Benfica, he would have been costing 80 million or something. If he was coming from Atletico Madrid, they would have wanted 90 million for him. Do you think that? I remember what you've always told you, and I've never forgotten this. What you've always told me, you have to start from a high price, so that even if you get that 5 million, like remember, it was 50 million, now it's at 35. So you're actually doing a favor for you. But do you think teams will hear 50 million and will just keep him? No team is going to come pay for him.
There is a backing dog that never scares away thieves. So 50 million is us backing, and thieves will just keep coming because they know this is a toothless dog. Like, when did Arsenal ever sell? If you had Fabregas, if you had Henry, if you had Alexander Hileb, and if you had the likes of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and your highest sell is 35 million, are you going to sell Eddie at 50 million? Nah, come on. So I like the strategy, but they have used it on the wrong player. This should be on a player like ESR. You set him at 70 million. Clubs come cluttering down to 50 million. Close their eyes, close the bag, run with the money. With Eddie, you're still going to get your regular 25 million offers. You're still going to get your regular 18 million offers, regardless of your asking price. And so what Arsenal have done here is standing in no man's land. They're looking at Sahu Girassi is now confirmed that he has chosen BVB. I'm having a party right after this podcast just to celebrate Sahu Girassi not joining Arsenal. But I think Arsenal standing in no man's land here with the perspective that if this striker market really doesn't favor us, we can't just let go of Eddie Nketiah. Eddie Nketiah is not a player that is leaving Arsenal before Arsenal sign a striker. Trust me. Either we bring in a centre forward or Eddie doesn't leave. He has a 5-year new contract. This is his second year in that contract, earning 100K per week. There is a reason as to why he earns 100K per week. There's a reason as to why he was given a new 5-year deal. Because Arsenal know until they get that centre forward they want, Eddie Nketiah will be used as the scapegoat. We shall continue, getting a few goals from Trossard and Martinelli and Odegaard, but Eddie Nketiah will be the player on the bench. So for me, yes, it's a good strategy, but it will not work. I don't see us getting 40 million because we started at 50. Again, I could see him go for 35 if there is a club that is desperate, or a club with very bad scouting.
Now, do you think we are doing this because I know you're doing that because of that reason that you've given, but do you think you've also done this because you're hearing Chelsea asking for like 40 million for Broja, who's played like 2 games, asking for 50 something million for Gallagher, and United asking for 30 million for Wan-Bissaka? Do you think that's the reason we're doing that? And also on top of that, because he's English. I mean, he's not the worst striker to play for Arsenal. He scored some goals for Arsenal against Man United, against Chelsea. He's got a hat-trick, so he's not the worst of strikers. And I did a video on him yesterday, and I did say I feel like if Nketiah gets 38 games out of 38 and he's the regular striker in a team, he can pull in 13 to 15 goals. I feel like he can. But the worry is the consistency of him doing that, and also the levels that we are right now. Can he really do that for us? And he's also English. A lot of people are looking for English players. In terms of age, he's not that old. He's nowhere near his prime. So do you think in terms of all that, do you think it's as crazy as that? If you pull in 50 million, you get Edwin Arteta statue.
If we pull in 50 million, that is for Eddie Nketiah's sale. For Eddie Nketiah's sale.
Yeah.
I will forgive the club for selling Van Persie to Manchester United. I'll forgive them.
Wow.
I'll also forgive them for the crimes against us. Crimes like Danny Welbeck signing, crimes like Sylvester signing for Arsenal, Kim Kalostrom, and the guy that came from is it Juventus or Napoli at right back? Remember?
Lichtsteiner at Juventus.
Stefan Lichtsteiner. I'll forgive them. Let me tell you, Eddie Nketiah.
Forgot Dennis Suarez as well.
Thank you so much. Eddie Nketiah is being valued at the same level right now as Dusan Vlahovic, as Benjamin Šeško. He's being valued more, more expensively than Michael Olise, because Olise is going for around 60 million euros, around 47 million pounds. He's being valued more than Michael Olise. Just come on, just really come on. I would love Arsenal to get that 50 million. I would love my club to make some good money, but if we had given him the season ending. We all had a very good season ending. So if you had given him the season ending where he scores 5 goals in his last 10 games or last 12 games, different story. We're talking about a guy that the manager last trusted when he scored a hat-trick. I do not know when. That is the player we are talking about. We're talking about a player who really doesn't have any consistent run of games, consistent run of numbers to show as his CV. You're talking about a guy that his only CV is, I played at Arsenal in the Premier League. That's his and the Champions League. That's his CV. So there is nothing like luck here. You're not pulling in 50 million. You're not pulling in 40 million. I'll be very surprised if we pull in 40 million.
Yeah, that would be absolutely surprising if we end up getting that money. But let us know in the comment section. And now that makes me believe I don't think Arsenal will sell him for 18 to 20. So if no one comes with 28 or something, 30, I think he ends up staying. So last question on those 3 players on screen. All 3 of them have been linked with moves away. All 3 of them could. I don't think all 3 of them will leave though. Who do you think right now has the best chance of staying?
ESR has the best chance of staying. I think the club look at him in a way that if you kept him for one more season, there's a possibility that he doesn't pick up those ridiculous injuries that are not even footballing related, and he plays some more minutes. And if he decides to leave at the end of the next season, Arsenal will pull in more than the 40 million they're asking for right now.
Makes sense. Thank you guys for watching. Join us later today on Cause's channel and tomorrow for another podcast. July is going to be a busy month. Outgoings and incomings, busy one. Thank you for watching. Catch up with you guys on the next.